Hi, this is Jeremy Schoonmaker with the Channel MPS Group, and today I'm going to talk to you about job storage. I'm going to be using a Flow M527 that's running FutureSmart 4.7, and I'll also be using the Universal Print Driver, which is version 6.6.5. Job storage is a pretty common thing that I get asked about, being able to store a job on the printer and then release it once the user's at the front panel. This is usually done for security reasons. There's options around how to set this up, but it's enabled by default on the devices. So we're not going to spend any time setting up our device. We're just going to go with the default settings. Once I'm in a file that I want to print, I just go to Print, and then when I choose my printer, I go into Preferences. Now I need to navigate over to the Job Storage tab, and this will give me all the options around it. By default, this will be off, which means the job just prints when it comes out. I want to choose Personal Job, and then I want to leave the rest of this mostly the same. My username by default is going to pull my computer username, which you see here. I can create a custom username if I want to. And the username you'll see in a minute is kind of the folder structure that these files that are stored are organized into. So if you want to make a username that like everybody can pull from, hey, you call it everyone. You can also change the job name. By default, it's usually the file name of the job, and then maybe sometimes even file name dash the program that it's sent from. You can change that again if you want to, and you can also decide whether or not you want to overwrite files that already exist or if you want to append a number to the end of it. Usually people don't want to overwrite, so we'd leave that. And then this will just notify us of the actual storage when it happens. Now, when you have personal jobs, you can choose 3 different options here under Make Job Private or Secure. You can choose to pin to print, encrypt job, or do nothing. Now, if you do nothing, the job will be stored at the device, but it'll be able to be released by anybody. So usually not very good from a security perspective. A pin to print allows you to type in a 4-digit PIN and send it over with a 4-digit PIN, and then you need to re-enter that PIN in order to release the job from the front panel. This also sends it over non-encrypted, so if there's a man-in-the-middle attack happening, anybody that's watching print traffic could intercept this job and read it. If you use encrypt job, though, the job is actually encrypted with a password and not decrypted until you put the password in at the device. So this is what I usually recommend for people, and this is what I'm going to show you today is using the job encryption. Once I've just chosen that, I'm going to push OK and then push Print. And then you'll see that a dialog box pops up. That's another reason I like the encrypt job, is because then we can verify a password with this dialog box. So I'm going to use the password. I'm going to use something easy, 1234, but you'll see that you can use between 4 and 32 characters. Obviously, the better the password, the stronger the encryption is going to be. And you have to confirm it, and you'll see this little green circle pop up if you've got the confirmation right. You can save this as the default password, and you might have caught before that I can click Use Default Password again if I want to, and that way I can avoid this pop-up box. I'm just going to leave it here. I'm going to use this pin 1234, and I'm going to send it over. Now, if you watch really quick when I send this over, I'm not sure if you'll be able to see it here, but on my remote control panel here, when you send a job, it really quickly flashes up that it's sending a job. You probably didn't see it, but there's very little indication at the front panel that a job has been stored. To release it, though, you would go under this print icon and then print from job storage. Now, if this is something you do quite a lot, I usually recommend moving this print from job storage out to the front panel. When I'm in Print from Job Storage, you'll see the folders I was talking about earlier associated with usernames. I would select my own folder, and then you'll see there's different jobs available. This first one that you see here is I sent over with no PIN and no encryption. So that's available, and I could print it if I wanted to. If I want to unlock the private jobs, I click Unlock, and then I'm prompted to enter a password in. So I'm going to enter the PIN 1234, and it's going to unlock most of my jobs. Now, I sent a couple others with a different password, and that's why you still see some unlocked. Now, these 5 jobs, I have the availability to choose to print. In a recent firmware update, we added the ability to choose which ones you wanted to print. If you have an older firmware version, you might have to print them one at a time. If I want to select all, I click this little box with all the check marks in it, and it'll show all there. And if, for whatever reason, I want to print the list of what's available, I can do that, and it'll actually print out a list like this that shows you the names of all the jobs and where they're stored and such. I know that's fun to see. Last thing is if I just want to delete a job from here without printing it, I can do so. I can just click the little trash can button. It would ask me if I want to delete the job, and I can delete it. And then it should disappear. Now I'm just going to select one to print out, and I click the green print button. I don't click done. I actually click the green print button to actually release it. And then once it's going, you'll see that it goes into printing and releases the job. There's a couple more nuances of this that I'm going to share with you in other videos, but that's the basics of how you send a stored job and then release it. One last thing I want to show, which is I'm going to go back to my file. A lot of times end users don't like the idea of going through preferences, clicking on job storage, and doing all these things. So you can actually, once you have this set up the way you want it, including using a specific PIN or having the encrypt job use the default password, I can create a printing shortcut. And I like this a lot. I can save this as job storage with PIN or whatever you want to call it. And that way, when I go into print, instead of navigating over there and having to look through all those options, I can just use this printing shortcut and use it, and it'll store every time. So then I click OK, I click print, it'll store, and if I wanted to do it again, I'd click print, and if I go into preferences, then you should see the printing shortcuts there, and I don't have to mess with anything ever again. So I really like the idea of using that printing shortcut to save it and make it easier for end users. Thank you very much, and that's how you do job storage.